We got to get sage aruni, sagebrush. When I was in Arizona, that was one of the nicknames that they used to call me. Sagebrush stew. Oh, gosh. Because I was always in the desert. Okay, well, ona kad vahiga jokos varon sijus nari, kad zitans Rio jojets kaui noje un dajets koine star on ata runi. Retenu vadadu garonga garia gesu, yeti sota asatanka garakwa, yetin stadzi hunzagi dona goiguskat ne ganungwe. Retenu vadadu sawoyerda ne tkundun hetzerat gawis, agwaids ani ganyatra da gerdo dona akwego o quadzre onunko suma. Retenu vadadu Dewa da Dego. Dono aguego zevano sesrono, dono aguego rodeno sesrono, dono aguego ungue home. Reten wara du yeti sort of gun han on the headsten, gonna go rio radi hawakwe. Dam dawe aron headset, gaz het stasser en negan ungue. Dam dawe aron adon hetsera asat nigar dardige ne ganyaga hagar radinato ronata roni don riskarewage dano damdawi adon gatsera agoigo ona goda gayano rasera go neskana ori hui o kariwa gori shunsera dano gazat stansera damdawi adon hetsera ne gayanda wana ne gonna gurio. Okay, so as you know, every time we get together for council meeting, ceremony, anything of importance, we always have to carry out a Hondagari Wadeko first. This is where we identify and give thanks for the things in creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. Oh, yeah. So we always begin by giving our thanks to the great spiral of creation. When you look up into the nighttime sky, you're not looking at cold, dark, empty, lifeless space the way that non-native science would lead you to believe. No, instead, you are looking into the living, vibrant body of our great mother. So we give thanks to her, to Sky Woman, as it is she who has given us spirit. From there, we give our thanks to the beating heart of our Mother Earth, to Grandma Moon. It's she who regulates the flow of the lifeblood in all things, and so we give thanks to her, to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. From there, we give our thanks to our Mother Earth, regardless of what color you are, what language you speak, or you've grown out from Mother Earth, or what you imagine divides us, which again is the most important thing right now, because everybody is divided on Earth, supporting or believing in one war or another. And so, regardless of these things, we all come from the same mother, want the same body, making us all one family, sisters, brothers, all relations all together. And so, you think in the non-native world, when you identify that we're all sisters and brothers, well, non-native world sisters and brothers are killing each other. Who would do that? What kind of family would kill sisters and brothers, kill each other? Well, you'd be identifying a crazy family, an insane group of people. So this is something that the non-native world has to overcome in their false beliefs of division. Their false beliefs of division stemming from religious, false man-made religions, the democracy, the economics that divides them, puts them into caste systems, separates them, slices and dices them into belief systems and then caste systems, and all the way down till it's like breaking down like breaking down an orange, separating an orange until you get to the juice, to get to the concentrate. And this whole process of in the non-native world of thousands of years of religion and false man-made democracy, that these things are the process of stripping the human from its core, from its identity, to breaking it away from understanding and knowing that we are a family, that we are a sister and brotherhood of humanity, of a planetary species, but in the non-native world, like we said, as you see right now, and as probably you are probably cast within this division, that is just like a cast on the world, like a witchcraft spell right now, to divide the people like this. They drop a bomb and it divides the people, but they cast their spell first, drop that bomb, because in order to make this happen, to make a bomb drop, to make a bomb drop, you have to cast the spell to do that. You have to enslave the people who will do such a thing under a witchcraft spell, a spell of evil and corruption. Because who will drop bombs on people, on other people, especially knowing that other people would be your sisters and brothers within our planetary human species? So, anyways, this is the craziness that we are looking at right now, and the division of the people stems from them not knowing who or what they are. In the non-native world, the non-native people, you just think 8 billion people right now have no clue who or what they are. If they did, well, you can imagine there's probably billions who would say, oh, I know who I am, I know what I am. Oh, yeah, well, it's their design then to be the destroyers of creation, of Mother Earth. Then it's their design to be stupid to the point of where the knowledge that they had as children while in school to identify, not to bully, not to fight, that fighting is wrong, it's stupid. It means that the people who fight got no brain, they don't think, they got no intellectual capacities to be able to resolve whatever issue it is that they're fighting over. But when we're children, hey, the adults tell us this, they force it upon us, regiment you into that in school. As soon as you're out of, not even as soon as you're out of high school, even while you're while you're in grade 10, they start recruiting you into the killing machine of so-called, regardless of what country you're in the so-called standing armies. You join the killing machine. You become the boogeyman under your own bed, the false, imagined, made-up enemy you have that causes you to enslave your own friends and families, to tax them like a bully in school, to tax all of them to having no choice but to invest more money into more killing, into more weaponry to protect yourself from the boogeyman that you are. This is the craziness of the non-native world. And of course, we're seeing this truth become more evident, become more revealed. You are probably getting so disgusted with what you are seeing, but at the same time, you are probably like, you just can't believe it. Like, what can you do? You are completely helpless as to alter the path of humanity, the path of destruction that humanity is on right now. You have been watching for the past couple of years Nazis bombing, killing women and children, the most vulnerable people on earth, people who are in a cage. You've been watching for the past 2 years insane Nazis basically put humans in a cage and just start shooting at them, killing them all. And you've been, no matter where you are on earth, you've been sitting there allowing that, but not just allowing it. If you are here in so-called Canada or the so-called United States, you have been paying for that. You have been funding it. You are the one with your finger on the button, your finger on the trigger, your hand on the knife. You are the cause of the stupid thinking. You are the stupid thinking that relegates not just one person, but an entire population of so-called countries to be rendered completely useless as far as their humanity goes, and to give all of their energy into a killing machine, to killing their sisters and brothers. But when you have false man-made religions that tell you you're the chosen one, you're chosen above your sister and brother, and you get to kill them, and you get to not be killed, and you're watching them get killed in a process that you've been locked into for thousands of years, then there is some kind of, I would imagine, some kind of better feeling of being on the side that's doing the killing than being on the side that's being killed. What would you rather be? Just think of that. If you're witnessing something, let's say wild animals, like maybe a lion hunting a gazelle, which one would you rather be? Would you rather be the lion or the gazelle? In that scenario, it's clear nobody would want to be the gazelle. Everybody would want to be the lion. Maybe you might not want to kill, like from your perspective, your outlook, or your belief right now, you might say, well, I'd rather not be either one. Big deal. That's stupid thinking. So if that's the category that you're thinking under, then just toss yourself away and then deal with the fact and the reality that this killing is going on and somebody is killing and somebody is being killed. So then you just deal with it from there. Would you rather be the one being killed? Doesn't give you much of a choice. You definitely don't want to be the one being killed, and you might not want to be the one killing. But if you only have two options, well, the option of being the one getting killed, that doesn't really seem like much of an option for anyone. So you can see how in the world right now, how there is a caste system that everybody's been under for thousands of years that stems from religion, because it is religion that gives this belief of that they are chosen. There's a chosen people, meaning that others aren't chosen, meaning that others are just useless, wasteless pieces of dog crap, no good to creation. It's like as if they're leftover pieces on a car. That maybe when you're rebuilding an engine and you got leftover pieces. Hey, wow, leftover pieces, huh? So what happens with them? You're not going to go back in and check where those pieces go and replace them and put them where they belong, because if you took them out and you put the machine back together the wrong way and you end up with extra pieces, you're going to be the one who's going to say, well, let's just sweep those extra pieces under the rug. And this is how Jews who were genocided upon in Nazi Germany, how they become now the Nazis that genocide upon others, upon the Palestinian people. Anyways, you have been watching this for the last couple of years, meaning your humanity has, you have been killing your humanity. You are the cause of the loss of your own humanity. But now we're at a different stage of this. We're at a stage now where clearly everybody can see that there isn't really any logic to what is taking place, what the world is seeing. Everybody's saying that whatever is happening over there, that it's lasting too long. Ooh, wow, imagine. Ooh, the war's lasting too long. What does that mean? That you promised the war would only last a day or two? And is that the reason why people were okay with it? Oh, well, it's too long now. It tells you, it reveals to you a psychological disorder in anyone who says that. Anyone who utters those stupid words out of their mouth that this kitchen sink operation, which Netanyahu identified this operation against Iran, that as he identified it as a kitchen sink operation, implying what? Like it's a like a movement of out of your one of your daily movements. Like it's that simple as like you can compare it to washing the dishes in your kitchen sink. Oh, don't worry, it's no problem. Okay, well, now the world is saying, oh, already too long, because it doesn't take, what is it, 7 days now or 6 days? It doesn't take 6 days to wash your dishes in your kitchen sink. So now that it's 6 days and 2 months from now, you'll be saying, oh, it's 2 months and it's too long. And then 6 months from now, you'll be saying, oh, it's 6 months and it's too long. Until you get to the point of where the Israeli Nazis Samson protocol gets activated. And this is the reason why you can see that there is no common sense, no logic to the actions. This is in the last couple of months. This is basically what Netanyahu is. He's got to kill all the Palestinian people. He's riding high on his horse, and now he's just started shooting all around at the different people. Beirut, Lebanon, Syria, just start shooting everybody. He's a madman. He's insane, a mad general. But it's not really that it's him. Is it Trump? Well, wait a minute. Everybody's saying Netanyahu, the Jews, the Zionists have something on Trump. And then others are saying, oh, Trump has the power of the army, military over him, but the Zionists have something over Trump. But yet, they both got somebody pulling the strings on them, and that's coming from Britain. That's coming from the head colonizer, where all the agenda, the program gets handed down to all colonizers on Earth. If you're a colonizer, sort of like what's happening in what Israel is doing on the Palestinians, you're under the control of Britain. Everyone in Israel is all under the control of Britain. They are all still in the human experiment that they initiated upon the Jews way back in, when was it, 1939, 41, 40, 41, something like that, when the Nazis started, initially started their final solution on the Jews. And it's funny, well, not funny, but it's an ugly coincidence that surrounding the Jews is always a final solution on either side. Somebody had Hitler had a final solution about the Jews. Why would Hitler need a final solution? This is something that is not examined, enough in the world today. Why didn't Hitler have a protocol of a final solution? Why would that be needed? Let's see, if you got an army, just like right now with Netanyahu attacking Israel, everyone knows it's a lie that they don't have the nuclear capabilities that Netanyahu has been lying about since 2012. In 2012, he said in 6 months, Iran will have the capabilities to enrich uranium and to create nuclear warheads and to have ballistic missiles. Said that in 2012. They still don't have it. And just recently, I forget the person's name, but whoever Trump appointed to be something about something, I don't know, Homeland Security or something like that, or the CIA, and they gave, it was a woman, it's a woman right now, she just this week, the beginning of this week, gave her assessment, and anybody can see this online, where she said, I think it was in maybe a Senate hearing or in Congress somewhere, excuse me, she said that Iran does not have a nuclear enrichment program, that they do not have a nuclear weapons program. But then she's the one who's manager of that department in Donald Trump's department store. And so she's managing whatever that was. I guess it's CIA, it's intelligence supposedly, but we all know there's no intelligence there. So she comes back with the head of intelligence and says, no, there's nothing. And then Trumpler, well, he's standing on his plane coming back from the G7, says basically, it doesn't matter what she said, doesn't believe it. He believes. Where would he concoct this belief that Iran has nuclear weapons if the person that he appointed to be the head of the CIA, I guess, comes back with the findings of the entire machination of the intelligence system to then identify that Iran does not have this nuclear weapons program? So where does Trumpler get the impetus, even within him, to say, doesn't matter what she said, I don't believe her? He believes there is. Where does he get this belief from? Does he know some Iranians in the nuclear weapons program who would tell him, who would show him proof? Well, look, we're making weapons. Does he have people like that? Well, let's see. There is people like that espionaging within Iran, as every world media just made known within the last couple of days, that Iran has been sprinkled with espionagers from Israel. Their entire system, their entire government, their industry, their electrical grid, their power grid, everything is infiltrated by Israel. So then, how then could the head of the CIA say there's nothing, no weapons program, because the CIA would be getting this information also jointly with the espionage from Israel. And everybody knows that there isn't, but yet Trumpler can lie to the entire world. And he says he believes, thereby justifying the so-called United States military involvement in the war against all humanity. This is not a war against Iran. No way in hell. Because again, to go back to, it makes no sense that where people are saying today, oh, it's lasting too long. 1 second, beyond 1 second was too long. The first second of just pushing the button and completely annihilating Iran should have been all that it took. Because anything more to initiate a so-called what do you call that? Modern warfare. There's a name for it, but anyways, to initiate that whole process, there's as you know, there's protocols, there's all kind of different things that have to happen to make this happen, but Trumpler just bypasses it all. Through what? Is there a legal channel, a justification that Trumpler has in order to justify what they're going to do? The United States is going to get involved in the Iran war. They are going to bomb Iran. Trumpler is going to do that. He has to. He is being pushed into that by Netanyahu. He's got no choice. Netanyahu has him by the you-know-what. And Netanyahu is a madman. So this is where, like, if you ever watch a movie like, let's say, Scarface, you know, at the end when Al Pacino starts going crazy and he just starts killing all his own people. Well, if you're like a general in Scarface's gang, well, you got to be there with him no matter what. As you've seen, even his own buddy in this movie, if you know the movie, even his own buddy who was there with him right from the start, he had no choice. He just stood there and accepted his mad general, Scarface, killing him, Tony Montana, killing him. He had no choice but to accept it. And this is where Trumpler is in relation to Netanyahu. Netanyahu is the insane one who's just going crazy, wanting to kill everybody. Trumpler is his general. Trumpler is not a president. Whatever that means anyways, he is not a president. He is a puppet for the Nazi regime of Israel. And Netanyahu has something big on him, much more than just the pictures with a couple of teenage girls at Jeffrey Epstein's private sex resort. Much more than that. We see that, what's his name there, the Doge guy, the electric car guy. What the hell's his name? Elon, yeah, Ellen. That when he had his little dispute, his little lover spat with his boyfriend, that he released some pictures. Why? How is it that Elon, how is it that he's got pictures of Trump? How is it? Because he has the platform of what they call what's called X, with it's some social media program, platform, whatever it is, as you know. So he released some pictures. He's got much more than this. Netanyahu's probably got Prime Video of Trumpler with teenage girls? Most likely, when you know the not the scenario, but the spirit, or the spirit of what everyone knows is that Jeffrey Epstein's private sex island, his Walt Disney sex resort. That when you know what that is, and you see then Trumpler would standing there or sitting there with a teenage girl sitting on his lap, then you know that that is only part of the picture. That's only a very small part of it. Oh, anyways, here we are in a world poised on complete nuclear destruction, because that's where it's going. All because of people's sexcapades, their sexual adventures. 20 years ago, what Epstein was, what you think? Who's Epstein? Oh, wait a minute. Is he a Jew? Yeah, he's a Jew. Oh, wait a minute. Is he a billionaire Jew? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, then he's a Zionist. Okay. And everybody, Zionist. Let's see. Hey, that's direct from Nazi Israel. So 20 years ago, 30 years ago, all his life growing up, Jeffrey Epstein, obvious, is an insurgent for Israel. There, and with all the right players, all the richest people, because the Zionists control everything, the entertainment industry, the political spectrum, the political arena, all of that. So they got all the big players all in one place and filtered them through Jeffrey Epstein's Walt Disney sex world. And so this is where and how the world is being manipulated into war right now. So you might be just an average person, with average common level of common sense. Maybe you could never detect anything before, but now you're detecting maybe, we're going to go to war. Now you're hearing a lot of people in the so-called United States, the majority, who are saying, no, they don't want the so-called United States to get involved. You're even seeing a supposed right now good cop, bad cop routine between Trumpler and one of his cheerleaders, that Marjorie Taylor Greene. Right now, she's saying, no, don't get involved. No. But Trumpler's, they're 100%. Marjorie Taylor Greene is Trumpler's cheerleader. So what you're seeing right now is just a little bit of good cop, bad cop, just to get all the stragglers corralled. It's like, basically, if you can imagine, a bunch of cows got loose in the field, and you got to go there and you got to corral them. Get them in here a little bit, one at a time, bit by bit, until you got everybody. And then once you got everybody, then you take the cows to slaughter. You do exactly what the business is, and that's what the reason why the Trumpler is put in the position that he is of so-called president. Put in there to be the one that closes the deal. That's his slogan, right? Is there to close the deal. What is the deal that is being closed? Well, everybody's focusing in the so-called United States, thinking that that's what you got to look at. But no, the so-called United States has always been a construct of Britain, always kept on a very short leash. If you've been with us, you know what we talked about many times. Well, yeah, there's this illusion of what the heck was that revolution? 1776, that they fought for their independence from Britain. It was this illusion that that's what they done and that's what happened. But as you know, what we identified just 49 years later in 1824 or 1823, 1823, I think, that President Monroe probably got in 1820. Yeah. So it's probably 1822, maybe. It's 22 or 23. That Monroe then created the Monroe Doctrine, putting everybody back under all the so-called United States and everything that the so-called United States controls through the OAS, the Organization of American States, that everything was then filtered through the so-called United States directly to Britain. Through what? Why? In 1824, what was it? It was a business arrangement. What's the business arrangement? Well, if you've been with us, you know that big document that we bring out sometimes that I got from grandmother Nancy Scanny, that identifies about the relationship with native and non-native. That there it identifies. It's a business, and it identifies what's the business. What has Britain's official corporate business been here? Of course, it's you. You know, if you're here in so-called Canada and the United States, you are Britain's business. You are their cattle. But their business on, say, like on the levels that your average person could comprehend is what is identified in that big document. It's identified of the king's cousin, the Queen Victoria's cousin, Rupert, you know, Rupert's land, that this is where the business, the corporation, is foundation and registered as the Hudson Bay Company. When that guy they called the king just came here to give his speech from the throne about 3-4 weeks ago, just a couple of days later, after giving the speech that identified, he acknowledged on unceded land. Let's see. When he said unceded territories, what does that mean? When the boss of your corporation says something that identifies that your corporation is illegal, what does that mean? What you don't know is that, well, you're just hoping you're still going to have a job tomorrow, even though the boss said, well, our business is illegal. So you're going to keep working knowing that your business is illegal. But once he makes the statement that it's unceded land, then legally, it's clearly identified as that every colonial construct is illegal. It's proceeds of crime. And so the business owner then liquidates the business while all the workers are still within the company working, so that they don't know what's going on. Because this way, then, it's the workers that end up bailing out the company. Some of you may have seen this in economic history in the so-called United States. Let's see, in 70s, late 70s, when steel mills were going out of business all through Pennsylvania and New York, places like that, that these steel companies, U.S. steel manufacturers, were bailed out by the taxpayer. That's you, the worker in the company, bailing out the company. But the person who owns the company knows that this trouble is coming, and he just does a little shifting, you know, creative paperwork, so that his name is taken off the company. The company's not even there now. Oh, well, if the company's not there, then you can't have legal recourse to that company. You can't say, hey, you owed us this, you got this bill, you got to pay, or whatever. Hey, they dissolved themselves. What happened to the Hudson Bay Company? How did they close up? Did they just close up and say, okay, they closed up with a huge, not a deficit. What's the opposite of a deficit? What's that word? Opposite of
Profit.
a what?
A benefit or a profit?
Yeah, profits. Yeah, okay. So they got record profits and they just decided to close up? Or did Hudson Bay actually file for Chapter 11? I don't know if that's what they call it here in so-called Canada, but in the stateside, Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Did they file for that? I don't know. That's something that we got to find out because it does factor in the big picture. But anyways, regardless, this is what the bouncing ball. If you keep your eye on that bouncing ball and you've been watching what's happening, this is what it reveals to us that that guy, the devil, when he came here a few weeks ago and said, unceded territories. That means that anyone can take legal action against his business. And his business is owned by his cousin. He's been in business for what? How long was it? A couple of 100 years? And it just went out of business just a couple of days after the devil was here giving his speech from his devil's throne. Coincidence? Nobody even cared to draw the parallels or to try to put these events in one picture, so one frame so that you can see a complete picture. Nobody's even trying to do that. Nobody's even addressing it. You yourself should address it. What does it mean when the person who's the head of the courts of your corporation, because if something happened with you, you're going to court, and the person who's the head of that court identified that even that court is illegal, because when he said unceded territory means that anything that is there from that colonial invasion is all illegal. This is the reason why they closed up their company. Now, that's just on paper. But don't forget, you, the so-called taxpayer, you are the real business that devil is in. He's in the livestock business, and you are just the livestock. You're a taxpayer, you're just livestock. You are expendable, you are usable to whatever degree and whenever that devil wants to use you. And you are being used right now, because it is your energy that devil has been entrapped you into, a colonial infrastructure for 500 years to support an imperialist system of devouring Mother Earth's life force that is rooted in Britain, but has its tentacles throughout the earth through its colonial invasion. And when you think of this, how in the hell did it happen that if you think of Britain as a species, everybody who's there, like just as a collective species, if you look at 500 years ago, how many people were there in Britain? I don't know. I bet you anything, it's probably pretty much close to the same amount of people that are there today. Maybe you factor in, with the immigrants and all of that, when you're talking about just the pure Brits, the ones who are there, who've been there. So I would bet you anything that the population hasn't changed one bit over the last 500 years. But then how did they expand around the world, overpopulating everywhere? How is that? This is some kind of chameleon octopus type of creature that can alter itself, shapeshift itself, alter its mass, its size to fit whatever the scenario is that it needs to that it is assaulting or invading. If any of you have ever seen like these pictures, there are videos floating around on social media of octopuses on fishing ships that sometimes they get caught in the nets, and you see them just escaping, and the sailors just or the fishermen just allow them to go. And one of them, you see that octopus went into a tiny hole, like maybe the size of a baseball, a whole big giant octopus fit into that. Just first, a couple of tentacles went in and like it just sucked itself right into there. Like as if I, myself, and my mass could fit through a, I don't know, what's an example? Like a wedding ring, like, or a ring. Like as if, imagine, like if I just put my finger through there and the rest of my body just started getting sucked through it. This is like what this entity, this colonial entity is. Because it keeps its same mass, its same size over there, but yet expands and puts itself somewhere else with the same amount of mass, but even more. This is some type of crazy expansionism, some kind of crazy creature that it's like the hedron, that if you cut off one head, 10 heads will grow back. You know, like it's try to kill it, and it's impossible. So, anyways, this is the colonial advancement of Britain, which everyone on earth is watching play out right now. And if you don't know who or what you are, then you will be completely helpless, useless to the scenario at hand. You cannot be part of the solution when you are enslaved on the pirate ship as the problem. So a person must break free of that to be able to even comprehend what you're looking at. And I know there it's impossible, because if you are enslaved and that's what you're regimented into for at least 500 years, then that's you're cast into it, and you're just there. You know, you're not trying to break out of it. You're not ever going to have the the notion of that it's something to break out of. You're never gonna. So this is where, if a person is there, that you have to have some kind of protocols established to check yourself. And if you've been with us for a while, you've heard us talking about this whole ball of wax over the last few years, identifying that humanity needs sort of a litmus test to diagnose itself, to judge itself. If you got no way to judge yourself, your actions, and you're just acting without being able to judge if it's a good idea or not, you could be just about ready to jump off a cliff and kill yourself, but you'd be 100% into it because, well, the one before you did it, before them did it. So this is it. In a non-native world, you're a part of a process that has been de factoed over you now for thousands of years. But here in Turtle Island, you have been for the past 500 years, which kind of softens the grip that's been over you for thousands of years. So this is the scenario. Thousands of years, this grip of imperialist colonialism or colonial imperialism has been over you, controlling you for a couple of thousand years minimum, maybe 4,000 years. So for 500 years, you've been here. So if you're looking for 4,000 years, then it means for 2,500 years, you've been under a complete mind melt. But then when you got here for 500 years now, starting 500 years ago, 500 years, 1,500 years into your 4,000 year colonial grip that you're under, then this means that the time that you were here for 500 years, it's been softening upon you because your mind has been exposed to logic and common sense and truth. Whereas if any non-native person, you got no way to dispute this, and I would challenge anybody to dispute this, but in you attempting to dispute it, you would verify that in the non-native world, there was not a person able or capable to resist what was happening to them in Britain, in France, in all throughout Europe. Nobody could resist it. Collectively, They could not stand against the colonization that was overpowering them. Number one, because they're all too selfish and greedy. That's the European. That's not a religious issue or whatever. It's just a bad human trait that all the Europeans have. They're too selfish and greedy. It's the way they've been trained. So with that, then the person who's selfish and greedy, even though they've been exposed to logic and reason for 500 years, may soften up the grip of that imperial colonial grip upon you, but it's still there. You are the grip itself. You are what keeps you locked into place in a colonial construct. Because the people who are there don't know anything else. You cannot imagine a life outside of that. I know, because of our observations of the non-native people for the last 500 years. The facts speak for themselves. The status quo, the current status quo at any point in the last 500 years tells you there are every single last non-native person is a good person, just like anybody on earth. They just want to live. They just want to be good. They just want their chance to love and be happy and not to be bothered or not to be oppressed. That's all everybody wants. That's all the non-native people want. Now, that's good, but if that's all you want and you don't have your human perspective as being a part of a collective planetary species, if you don't have that and original instruction, then you are just that selfish, greedy person because you're alone. You are of self. And a person who is of self, in order to survive in a collective of lions and tigers and bears, well, they need a certain level of what they view as protection, false protection. Safety in numbers type of thing. As long as you got a weapon to protect yourself, you're okay. But it's actually that weapon that you got to protect yourself from. So as long as you got a weapon, you're trying to protect yourself from the weapon that you got. But you will never see it. You will never comprehend it, especially in the non-native world. It's impossible for you. And again, you could say, well, no, why? And we just say, well, it's just a matter of our observation of yous. That's just the way that the non-natives are. It doesn't mean that, oh, well, then the native people are going to separate it because we identify, oh, well, you're just corrupt. No, what it shows us or what it presents to us is more of a challenge. And Haga, or any true person within their identity will always rise to the challenge, because rising to the challenge means you are at the cutting edge of human evolution, which means the cutting edge of our planetary evolution. So this means that in this instance, the native people who are still engaged in the 500-year-long war in defense against the white British non-native European colonial invasion, that we are the cutting edge of our planetary evolution. It is we that are designing it. Not that we're designing it like on a paper and this is what we wanted to look at. No, but by dealing with the issue, addressing the problem, diagnosing it. Like if you had to look, if you're a mechanic and you had to look at a car, what's the problem? You diagnose it. You'd say, well, it's a distributor. Is everybody, you as the owner, are you going to say, oh, no, it's not the distributor. Look at something else. Leave that distributor alone no matter what. It's not the distributor. Mechanic's going to tell you, it's the distributor. You've got to listen to the mechanic. And it just so happens that the mechanic of the human psyche, of the collective species of our Mother Earth, is not anyone within the non-native population. It is only of and within the original peoples who are still adhering to original instruction. That is where the cutting edge of human evolution is being designed. So let's see. Is that really us? Hey, wait a minute. We addressed the IPCC statement that was a statement, a position to the entire world. No one on earth addressed it. Hey, wait a minute. We are the only ones who addressed it. And we are the only ones who are pushing that solution. No, well, not the only ones who are pushing the solution, but of hemp unity, we are the only ones who are pushing it to the degree and the levels of where it has to be, the levels that it has to be brought into in the public consciousness. So we are. If you are activated within the two-row wampum, you don't have to see the bigness of your action to know that anybody who's working on two-row wampum levels, you are the cutting edge of human planetary evolution. We are designing the advancement, the evolution, the future of Mother Earth. Right now, what is happening could cancel us out from doing that. Could just snuff out all life on Earth right now. What the crazy Europeans are doing again. Imagine this. If you were a non-native person, how the hell could you put up with this? You can't even say every couple of decades. You say constantly, continuously, every year, you are creating or expanding an old war or creating a new war. What in the hell is wrong with such people? Something so big and crazy that nobody in that society will ever know what or how to address it. That's just a fact. So we know how to address things on a planetary level. But it can only be done through Degani Diohade, through the two-row wampum. And anybody who is working two-row wampum, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks, because everybody else doesn't think by thinking on the levels of democracy. Stupidly thinking that numbers is the impetus to getting things done. Numbers is not the impetus to getting things done. Right and legal is the impetus to getting things done. But when you have the non-native world that dysfunctions under non-native Christian democracy, which the world is, so-called Canada, so-called United States, it's Christian democracy. It's a duplicate, exact duplicate of the Catholic Church. How they placed a so-called American to be the Pope at this time, when they placed Donald Trump where he is, to have the physical and the so-called spiritual side completely controlled by the Zionists out of Britain. No, you say, wait a minute, out of Britain, but these are so-called Americans. Those are British. Those are Britons. So see a big ball of wax here. And the more that anybody delves into the knowledge of the two-row wampum, the more that you just start examining two-row wampum, what it means. Just start studying it. And even to study it into areas that are not yet even discovered. That you might say, well, maybe you might ask me a question about it. And let's say, we have never addressed that area of it. That's because it takes every human within a parameter of a central point of consciousness. It takes every human to be that power, that energy of expansion, or that energy of contraction, which means to be the living body of the people, which means to be the living body of the people means that you must continuously be keeping yourself on that cutting edge. And so it's only through legal channels, by addressing legal, that you are on that cutting edge. Because if you're not addressing it legal from a point of law, then you aren't addressing nothing. Okay, anyways, all of this, and this is what I see what's going on in the world right now. And so there's a certain vein that all of this is happening in. And when you know what's coming up right now, within what today is, or last night was the half moon, and it's the half moon in between the 6th and the 7th. So this means that when you have 6 before and 6 after in a count of 13, then it means the 7th one is the one that gets cut in half. And so this is where we are. We're within that 7th one that gets cut in half, that makes one half of it be with the first part of the year, and then the other half of it be with the next that we're going into. And so the half moon phase identifies the transition from the 6th into the 7th, and this is where the zenith is in the year, in the 365-day year. And so the zenith does not necessarily mean that this is where the full effect is. It's sort of like if we could say the zenith is when you pull the trigger, or when you pull your arrow back and let it go. Okay, let it go. Well, it takes a second or so for your arrow to get there. So it's not in the instance where this action is taking place where the thing happens. The thing happens after the instance. So the instance is the halfway point. It's like they just let the arrow go, and then the arrow's going to hit afterwards. It's sort of the same way that, again, that everybody knows that the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice, does not mean the coldest. The coldest comes after, but you would think the shortest, that's where the coldest day would be. But it's not, it's always after. Just like the same way with summertime, the longest day of the year, you would think that would be the hottest day of the year, but it's not. It's usually even up to a month later, month and a half later, the hottest days of the year. So this is cause and effect. Here's the cause and then the effect. It's the acknowledgement of primary and secondary. Again, primary being female, life giver, secondary being male, life protector. The life protector, the secondary, can never be, impossible to be, until the first action happens of female. So without that first action, male, every male that is, if you're a male, you would never even exist. You would never even be a thought if not for the initial action. So it's like the arrow if you're hunting something. If you're hunting a deer and that arrow goes into it, that would never happen if you didn't first have the arrow here and release it. The impetus to the design, what your desired outcome is. So this is basically the action of thought, of spirit. This, what I mean right now, what I'm doing is like showing the example, like I'm holding a bow and arrow and I'm releasing the arrow. The impetus, the spirit, the thought of me wanting that deer. Hopefully, we get our mark. Hopefully, that's what happens for the betterment of all life on Mother Earth. And so this is how we are addressing a worldwide issue through everything, if you've been following us, everything that we have been doing in social media. Because you might say, well, wait a minute, that doesn't actually address it on the ground. It doesn't stop anybody from shooting their guns at each other. No, it might not do that. And it makes no sense. Anybody to go to where that problem is, you'd have to be crazy to go there. Even in the past couple of years, even in the past 70 years, you'd have to be crazy to go there. Well, 70 years ago, when the Jews were just plopped there by Britain, They might not have thought, oh, we don't have to be crazy to be here. Yes, you do, because you know that no matter what, it would end up in a doomsday scenario. Because no one can be colonially placed within anyone else's home. You can force it, you can de facto it, doesn't matter. Ain't gonna make it right, ain't gonna make it acceptable, ain't gonna mean that that person is not gonna have to be looking over their shoulders for the rest of their entire existence. Okay, so yeah, I think I touched everything, what we're seeing right now, what's the vein we're flowing in. Nah, if there's anything else that I remember, we'll just throw it in there. If not, okay, so outside of this, is there anything else that we had to discuss tonight that we had to address? Was there anything carried over? First off, it would be Serge's document. Is Serge there? Okay, Serge, do we have
Yes,
that document compiled all now? Like a finished
yes.
document?
Uh, just a second. I need to be able to share, please.
Yeah, it's good now, Serge.
Okay, fine. So, check this one. That's the last one. I don't know if my internet is good.
Okay, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna read it, so just listen to where I'm reading and you could just scroll down when we get there. Okay, okay, so just to set this up for everybody, if you've been with us, you know that this is something that the two-row wampum working group has been working on all along. I mean, whether it was said a year ago, this is what it's got to go to. A year ago, all the stuff that everybody was learning and working on was leading to this. So it is the design of the two-row wampum to confront all corruptions, regardless of what side of the two-row wampum we are on. So let's see, it must have been 3 sessions ago, three Zoom sessions ago, where Serge presented the issue of what he wanted to do, what the intentions were, created a letter. We went over it a couple of times. This should be now tonight the final version. So I'm just going to read it over. And if you weren't with us before, like through the creation of this document, then just bear with us and you'll see it's very evident as to what the content and the purpose of this document, what it's designed for. Okay, so I'll read it. The following document is based on Larousse definitions and not the legal definitions used in legal systems. We, living women and men, aspiring to becoming the Quebecois nation, recognize that the history expressed by the dominant colonist way of thinking is biased. Recognize that the use of force, such as the use of lies, usurpation, theft, concealment, murder, forced displacement of the population, are all acts of genocide against the original peoples. Recognize that they welcomed us with open arms and spirit of goodwill. Recognize that all colonial entities have been legitimately bound to the two-row Wampum Peace Treaty since their arrival. Okay, can we stop sharing just for a second? We gotta adjust that. We gotta get this to everybody's comprehension here. Okay, so we're talking about right now the word what was it? Legally bound? Oh, yeah, legally bound. When we identify, or when we know that the devil was here just a couple of weeks ago, and he said his own statement was unceded territories, that means it's all illegal. So if we say that these colonial entities are legally bound, but at the same time we identify that they are illegal, then it kind of puts us into a quagmire of dealing with our own categorization of things. So here, I suggest that we take out the word legally. If that was the word, anyways, yeah, I don't know if I'm getting myself across. Sir, do you understand the point that I'm making here about that reference?
I think.
Okay, so let's go back to share, and that way we'll look at that specific word, and that way it'll be easier to see it. Have been, oh, legitimately, okay, not legally, the word is legitimately. That all colonial entities have been legitimately bound to the two-row wampum. Oh, what I'm saying here is just take out the word legitimately. Because it says the same thing, all colonial entities have been bound to the two-row wampum peace treaty. And again, just to identify to anybody's, we want to have a perfect document. We don't want anybody to say, hey, we should have put this in, and then later on, somebody else say, hey, yeah, but we didn't, and then have just like a dispute in somebody's mind. To have the word legitimately there, again, within the sentence that says all colonial entities, we can't use the word legitimate because we identify. And not just we identify, but the practice or the behavior of colonization is, by any and all people's interpretations of law, no matter where you are on earth, is illegal, because colonization is the forced invasion into someone else's territory, and like was said, the usurpation of them, basically meaning the elimination of them, all of that stuff. So colonization is not a legitimate endeavor, meaning translating into that whatever is the infrastructure of it is illegal, is illegitimate. So anyways, it's for this reason that we say to leave out that word legitimately. If it's left out, it's still bound, still that way. Okay, if there's no problem with that, I'll continue reading. Okay, what was it? Legitimately, okay. All colonial entities have been bound to the two-row Wampum Peace Treaty since their arrival, a first and true alliance between the original peoples and the first settlers of Turtle Island. This alliance is based on reciprocity, respect, shared knowledge, and mutual aid. Recognize that the failure of the British Crown to respect the two-row Wampum Treaty is an act of genocide that was never intended nor supported by the newcomers who recognize that they were saved by the original people. Okay, wait a minute. I just detected something here that needs an articulation. Okay, from the last point, the last bullet point, recognize that the failure of the British Crown to respect the two-row Wampum Treaty. Okay, now here's something that we just kind of overlooked here, or didn't factor in. The first words are we, the people aspiring to a Quebecois nation. Okay, so that's the people of Quebec, and you're obviously identifying a separation or a different categorization from the rest of so-called Canada. So then you can't just say that we recognize that the British Crown didn't live up to it. Because if you are aspiring to nationhood, then also has to be the province. So a word, just let me look back at it here. We recognize that the failure of the British Crown Okay, there, without saying province, but that would include it all. Along with its colonial infrastructure. Yes, along with its colonial infrastructure. So that then identifies the province. And that's where the reality is that the province is doing things that is genocide upon Native people completely outside of British British rule or British direction. Yeah. So, okay, so a simple addition there. I'll read it again. Recognize that the failure of the British Crown and its colonial infrastructure. So, after British Crown and its colonial infrastructure. So 4 extra words right there. The British Crown and its colonial infrastructure. To respect the two-row Wampum Treaty is an act of genocide that was never intended nor supported by the newcomers who recognized that they were saved by the original peoples. Whereas the two-row Wampum Treaty, dating back to 1616, established how peoples were to live together equitably through a 1,000-year-old deliberation process based on consensus as inscribed in the Great Law of Peace established over 2,200 years ago. Whereas, given the failure of colonial regimes to respect the two-row Wampum Treaty, all kinds of initiatives ensued that were not in keeping with the said founding treaty. All subsequent acts and events were imposed hidden under the mask of colonization. Based on these historical facts, institutional colonization took over. Broken treaty, imposed reserve, discriminatory laws, residential schools, ban on languages and rights. This upheaval was not only a political betrayal, but a lasting moral wound inflicted on unsuspecting sovereign nations. Oh. Oh. Okay. Right at the end there of where it says, and the unsuspecting sovereign nations and ourselves. Because then that will identify that maybe to look like the obvious target is the Native people. But when you have to inflict inhumane things or policies upon someone else, that changes you. It changes that person. The person fighting may be altered for that instance while they're fighting. But as soon as that fight is over, they'll go back to like a muscle memory. They'll go right back to what they were before that. But the one who does the inflicting, they cannot go back. Because once you are in any kind of criminal conduct, you're a criminal. No matter what, that doesn't change. So the non-native world has been forced into being those criminals. And this is, imagine if you just had these thoughts, you're programmed to think, yeah, I should be a good person. I should be a good person. But then you find yourself doing things that a good person wouldn't do. You might say, hey, I better change my ways. But what if you can't change your ways if somebody else has regimented you, relegating you into a no-option way of being, that you got no choice but to be this monster? Wow, that if I was to awaken to that reality, I would be very pissed off. I would be so pissed off that I would put all my energy into first trying to free myself from being that monster that somebody else is trying to inflict upon me. Anyways, it's for that reason that at the end of that paragraph, 2 words added there, and ourselves. If that's okay, I'm going to continue reading. Okay, I'm going to go back to it. Okay, the original alliance was shattered as successive waves of European settlers, often with an expansionist, imperial, and missionary mentality, took over. The Wampum Treaty was betrayed by the British Crown and colonial governments. Indigenous systems of governance were systematically and premeditatedly ignored. Lands were monopolized and they were never ceded by those who originally resided there. Okay, right there. Never ceded by those who originally sided there, as affirmed in the recent speech from the throne in the Canadian Parliament by now this is up to you what you're going to say, but I would say by the so-called King of England. It would be completely acceptable if you said by the King of England. So, but that's for you. So now you know what the few words are that has to be added to the end of that, because then it's got to be the example of, hey, their king just said this. You can't say no if your king just said it. Okay, so if that's all right, I'm going to continue reading. Okay. Okay, where the two, where was I? Oh yeah, okay. Lands were monopolized as they were never ceded by those who originally resided there. Like I just said, as their king, whatever, just recently said. Okay, policies of forced assimilation. Example, residential schools, laws banning spiritual ceremonies, assimilation into a new language were put in place. The shift occurred not only in policy, but in the ideology too. We went from coexistence to domination. Being in a representative organization, we expect our servants, politicians, to act in the best interest of the Quebecois people and the established agreement. As our servants, we expect you to act with dignity and integrity. We have mandated the politicians to administer these services to serve us fairly and with honesty. Over the next 2 months, we expect from you, elected officials and others working for the state, to sit down with official representatives of the Wampum Treaty with a view to genuine reconciliation. The entire process must be public, accessible to all. Okay, right there, must be made public. Must be made public, accessible to all via any communication media. Okay, so just one word added in there, must be made public. We rise to reclaim the original identity we all carry. We stand up to reclaim our right to live free and in peace in the land that gives us everything we need. Through freedom of association, we, the people of the territory called Quebec, being attached to our roots with the original peoples who welcomed us, can no longer accept the status quo of your genocidal governance that has hidden behind the doctrine of discovery. To repair is not only to acknowledge wrongs, it is also to honor what was just and noble upon the first contact and to draw inspiration from this for the future. Honoring the memory of a betrayed alliance means giving a new voice to the ancestors of all nations. Honoring the memory of a betrayed alliance means giving a new voice to the ancestors of all nations. Honoring the memory honoring the memory of a betrayed alliance. Honoring the memory of an alliance betrayed. Honoring the memory of a betrayed alliance. Okay, wait a minute. This I'm having a problem there. There's a little stickler what it actually means. You know what those words actually mean. Honoring the memory of a betrayed alliance. Honoring the memory of an alliance betrayed. That's two different things. Honoring the memory of a betrayed alliance, it sounds like it wants the betrayed part, like it doesn't want the true thing. But if we honor the alliance, honoring the memory of an alliance betrayed, then you're calling on the good thing. Yeah, so all that has to do is those two words got to be switched. Let me go back and see. Honoring, where is that? Oh, I don't even know where we are. Okay. Honoring the memory of a betrayed alliance. Honoring the memory of an alliance betrayed, comma. Means giving a new voice to the ancestors of all nations who originally believed that cohabitation was possible. Turtle Island is not a territory. It's a home shared by various nations and culture. For a time, our ancestors knew how to live together wisely. Let us revive this state and perpetuate it for centuries to come. In conclusion, to the mention of all these facts, we expect that within the next 2 months, this so-called Quebec governance will sit down and set in motion the entire process of reconciliation with the proper representatives of the two-row Wampum Treaty. Govern yourselves accordingly with respect for the two-row. Govern yourselves accordingly in respect to the two-row Wampum. Because that is a statement that govern yourselves accordingly. As I'm sure you know, this is a legal statement that when you are like maybe you're delivering papers or a legal position on somebody else, like you're announcing to them, I've taken you into court based on this. Do govern yourself accordingly. That means then it's where the mind has to orientate. Has to orientate. Orient itself? Orient itself. Yeah. Okay, anyways, yeah. We'll go back to read that now. Did we finish? Did I finish it? Yeah, do govern your school. So if Quebecers wish to aspire to nationhood, they must not do so with the colonial intent of the last 500 years. They must be in agreement with the original peoples of Turtle Island, rooted in the two-row Wampum Peace Treaty for an alliance towards cohabitation of a life in balance and respect of our environment and its ancestral nations. Okay. As far as I see myself, like in the as far as the English language goes, that's the only corrections or additions or the only adjustments I would make there. So I think it's only 3, yeah, that we made. So once you got those in their place, then we got a final document. And this final document can be used, as I talked about this, we can use it in our court case. But the only way that I see that it can be used in our court case is through third-party intervener status. That, now this is where you would have to physically go and apply for third-party intervener status. And I would say that if not for this next court date on the 20th, oh, Edith, you know what? We can stop sharing that for now. If it's not done for this Friday, it could be done for the next, because the next one is going to be in the Supreme Court. So it would be good if it could be done by Friday, but if not, it's no big deal. This is what I see, is that the way to use this document is through third-party intervener status in this court case, and what the interest is of the third party, which is you, is everything that is stated in this document, and what you know is what they are actually doing the exact opposite of in the court case against me. So a third-party intervener status. So for now, I would just suggest that everybody just start looking into what is that third-party intervener status, and look at how a person would go about lodging themselves within a case. It's like if you knew that there was a case going on about anything against, let's say, the town that you live in, or whatever, municipality. If there was a case against it, well, you have a special interest in that case as being a citizen within that town. So if you hear that somebody's suing that town for whatever, you, as a citizen with a special interest, can intervene into the case as a third-party intervener status. Okay, so everybody just look into that third-party intervener status. And of course, if you're on the so-called United States side, it's going to be different. So if you are interested in this and you're going to look into it, it's got to be from within so-called Canadian law, within the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, what they say. So, but what I say is that if we get really prepared, if we get really where we're supposed to be on this, that when we do go to the Supreme Court, that you could come into that court with us, and I could, in the case, lead the way to saying that there is interest even within your own society that are identifying that treaty rights must be upheld, all that kind of stuff, and identify that there is a person or a group here petitioning to be third-party intervener status in this case. So we can do that together at the Supreme Court. If you are ready for that, if you're geared up for that, if you think you're up and ready for that fight, and if we got the time, if we're if we're all ready time-wise, but right now we don't know when that time is going to be. We're waiting still for a response from the Supreme Court as to they're going to tell us when our day in court is. So how do you feel about that? I don't know if you think that that is something that you might be interested in pursuing. Third-party intervener status in our case. What do you think?
We'll look with my people
Mhm.
because I'm not using I'm not using the person. I don't have the identity. I can't go in front of a court. I don't have anything. I don't have an account at the bank. I don't have nothing in link with this institution. So I don't have the right to speak because I don't have right. I don't give a fuck about right. I live my liberty.
Well, neither do I. As you know, when we went to the Supreme Court, I didn't have no ID. I used my wampum belts and they had to take it. So here is a way that maybe for both sides of the two-row wampum, we know that both sides are being oppressed. Maybe right now we're being shown an avenue, or an avenue is there before us to where both sides of the two-row can present it from our identity level. Because if I'm in there without any kind of ID, then so can you. Because I'm in there with no kind of ID due to the two-row wampum. So if I on my side have that, you on your side have access to that also. It might be something that we can try. It's something to look at, something to consider. It might be a shot in the dark that maybe it might just be the one that hits the target. For us to look at, we'll consider. We got time anyways to look at all of this. So as far as everything else goes in the document, what do you think? Is it okay now?
Yes, it's okay now. Then we will add what you have told,
Mhm.
and we are ready to go to send it to the Prime Minister.
All right. Okay, so once all of this is finalized, it could be finalized in an hour. I mean, but it's up, no pressure there. But once it's finalized, we'll share that also, and we'll do a story as to what the evolution of this has been. So we'll have to do almost like a little documentary of your journey here and what you're doing. It's very good. This is something that Native people always talk about, this kind of stuff. And because there's never been any non-Native people who ever really cared to push the treaty. You know, Native people always just say, there's no non-Native people, whatever, they'll never do nothing. So on the Native side, it's like we're conditioned to just expect that there's not going to be any action by anybody. So this is really something that's going to catch the people, like something out of left field that they're not prepared for. So it's going to be really something good, like once we present it, put it out there. I could even see maybe you coming down, join the powwow, to even come and make a presentation at the powwow. From the non-native people to the native people, to just read it off and announce it there. I'm pretty certain that could be arranged easily. Like to just start in ways of getting it public. So anyways, that's something to think about. The powwow here in Ganawagi, that's the second weekend in July. So you're looking about 3-4 weeks from now. You got a lot of time to think about that. And if you do, of course, you're welcome to stay here, to stay on the Longhouse grounds and be a weekend type of thing. Anyways, that's an option. Okay, so this has been a really good exercise, a really good for the people who have been working on it. Only they know what's being exercised. It's like if you're lifting weights, only you can feel. And the same thing with this one. Your mind is working in those areas. Of course, only you can know how far it goes, but it's one of those exercises that only opens up a door to a library. And then you may be able to look in the library and see nothing, but there's information in there. It's a matter of knowing how to extract that information out of there. So this is the exercise. This is the convention of what we're supposed to have been engaged in right from the start. As a matter of fact, it's the British. When we presented the two-row wampum, they said, "Oh, let's make the well, first it was the Dutch who said, let's make it an iron chain. It'll bind us together so strong. And then it's the British who said, well, let's make it a silver chain that it will never rust. And that when they said that, we'll make it a silver chain that binds us together, that they said that we will have to come together every once in a while to polish it, to make sure that it doesn't tarnish, to keep it alive. So this is convention. This is you taking this action. That's what this is. We are polishing that chain. So this is really an actual British protocol that is being activated. And it's gonna have its effect. It's the rattlesnake venom. That the second time you use it, it's for the purpose of being the antidote. So the way that it's all worded, it's an antidote to corruption. It's an antidote to 500 years of colonial corruption. Yeah. Okay, all right. Now we'll go. Any final closing words you want to make on this, Serge?
No, it's fine. All is fine for now. And for the rest, yes, it's possible to look to push too far away. All we do.
Yeah. Definitely gives you a different insight when a person starts down the two-row wampum path. You know, because normally when we're walking our own path, we think we can see everything because we can see the path. But we don't realize that it's a two-row wampum path. And we gotta see that path from two perspectives. And we cannot just force our perspective. Okay, so yeah, we'll go off to everybody. Everybody who's participated, who's done the work in this, and everybody even who's just been sitting and watching this, you know, like because if there is anything wrong, and especially knowing the people from Kahnawake who are watching this, if there was anything misrepresented or say I led you down the wrong path on this, everybody would jump on it in an instance. So this is a way that everybody is actually helping to get a perfectly refined document, a refined two-row wampum position. All right, now we'll go, everybody. We're going to move on. Okay, I don't know what we're moving on to, though. What is it? Oh, okay. We think you can find Timmy's daughter's post that I put up from today, just her painting? Okay, today there was on a different note here. On a happier note, I'd say, on a more feel-good level. Something happened to catch my eye this morning, a painting that somebody put up. And the reason why it caught my eye, you'll see it in a minute. Edith's going to share it. And if you've been with us, you've probably seen it. Anyways, from me seeing this painting, I had a little interaction conversation with the person back and forth, the artist, and they wanted to sell it, sell their painting. There was a suggestion of do a raffle that you might get more money for it. Okay, so anyways, ends up that there's a raffle for this painting made by the daughter of our old friend, and I do mean old, Timmy Montour. His daughter, who's an artist, she's been at the Ganyagahaga Land Defenders meetings. Anyways, her artistry, caught my eye this morning. So here it is. Is that it? They can see it?
Mhm.
Okay, so anybody seeing that, you know what that is. That's the two-row wampum, and it's corn. I mean, plain and simple. Nothing really, I would guess, like to other people, nothing really too inspiring there. Oh, look, corn. 3 corns. But as you see in the painting, 3 different, they're different corns. These are all the same, along with the two-row wampum. So what is it? What for me? What happened today to get me going in this vein? Is that it spoke to me something very important from Mama. That the two-row wampum, no matter what, is governed by mother's love, by Mama's love. That's what is gonna reign. That's what does reign supreme over the two-row wampum, because the corn, as you know, the eldest of the 3 sisters, this is made out of the breast of Mama, and this is to feed us and to sustain us. And that when Mama feeds, it is complete fairness. It is law for all of her children. That none are to be selfish or greedy or take more than what they need. Like imagine if you're a baby on the end of an umbilical cord, are you gonna take, hey, here's a lot of food, let me take more, put it in my pockets or whatever, stick it in your ears. What are you gonna do? No, you're only gonna take what you can use, what you need. And so this is what this spoke to me. It spoke to me on so many levels, seeing this. The love of Mama, the proper way of living in this world. Anyways, it caused me to have a little interaction with her. So I shared her post and got to the stage of where it's established, not just with me. She had conversation with other people, and other people said too, oh yeah, they were interested. But at this time, money isn't as easy to come by for everybody. Even the rich people don't have it. And if they do, like say for stuff like art, there isn't really much desire to invest in that right now. If there was a free flow of money, yeah, we'd be supporting doing that. So the best way that we looked at, or what we concluded anyways, is that it would make the artist more money if she done a public auction. Not an auction, a public raffle. It would make her more money, it would support her, it would enable her to be not necessarily a struggling artist. Because if an artist is struggling, whatever it is that's inside of them that has to come out, the beauty, the expression, no matter what it is, if you got to go to work 8 hours a day and you come home and you're dead tired, then your work, your enslavement is going to suppress your true calling, your passion. And this should not be. We should not be suppressing anybody's passion. We should be assisting and helping, especially the passion of our young ones. And so, young artists in Ganawage who are struggling, if they sold a painting, is that gonna help them to not struggle? Well, maybe they'll sell 1 or 2 paintings, maybe in a year. It isn't gonna keep them alive as a painter. No. But if we supported them through something here that we're gonna announce right now, what I'm announcing is that here we've decided in the Longhouse to create a 2-row wampum art initiative to support Indigenous artists. So we're going to create a page or whatever it is. I don't know, whatever it is. It's not me, but you know what I'm talking about. So we go to a page that's going to be managed by the Longhouse. And it's going to be about 2-row wampum artists who want to be exposed to the network that we have. I'm not saying that we're so famous and we've got such a big network, but we do have a lot of people who follow us, you know. So we extend to them a 2-row wampum art initiative in support of indigenous artists on every level, whether they're a painter, a singer, a dancer, anything. And so through this, it would be that if you go to that page and you see this person's artwork there, maybe it's up for a raffle. Maybe you might think, well, maybe 10 tickets might be, I don't know, $20 or something. And you might say, yeah, I want to win that. And you'll spend $20. But if you're thinking, I want to support that artist, then you might say, I'll buy 30 tickets, 30 raffle tickets. Really not to be so much concerned if you're going to win it or not as being the impetus, but of the impetus being that you want to support the artist. Especially Native artists, because Native artists, especially young ones, they're regimented into nonsense from the school that they're de facto into, taught to be everything, all the nonsense of the white man. That's all they're taught to. You're definitely not taught anything about Native, not in the schools here in Ganawagi, that's for sure. And then they're regimented right out of there, taught, oh, you got to get a career, you got to do this, you got to do that, everything like the white man. So imagine that natives got to go to school, grow up to be like the white man. So that means everything that is the native has been successfully killed, like what Stephen Harper said about the British Church Nazi residential school concentration camps upon native children, when he identified it was to kill the Indian and the child. Hey, wait a minute. That's what's actually happening today. Still. And it's not even that British Church Nazi residential schools. It's the schools that our own people are inflicting upon their own children now under white man's law. We're here in Ganawagi, the schools are not even managed or principled over by Native people, not even. They're white people. White people in each of the schools, a black person, a black woman, in one of the schools right here up the hill. So imagine that. You got white people and black people molding the minds of the young children here in Ganawagi. So that tells you that the real stuff that is DNA encoded within them that they want to get out, it's never going to get out. So we have to support their ability to remain in that field of artistry, any level of artistry, if it's a spoken word or rapping even. There's a lot of people rapping nowadays. My niece has a friend who's a rapper who just got a little record deal, and so stuff like that. People to have that exposure on every level, and it's just to maybe like showcase that the creativity that is here. And when it is showcased, it might give that one person, that one artist, more opportunity to, I don't know, have access to something more. Okay, so this is what we're doing here. Don't know how successful it's going to be, but as you know, like through the reconstitution initiative that we got, artists from north to south could be, that's what we talked about in the corridor of truth, peace, power, and righteousness, to facilitate something like that, that will make or give the original people the ability to be self-sufficient in our own communities, in our own territory, without having to join that system. So that's where any non-native person who's interested in 2-row wampum initiatives, 2-row wampum support, this is where your support could be directed through the 2-row wampum Indigenous Art Initiative. You can support those artists, which will keep them in their identity, will keep them in that creative vein of expressing their identity and basically being able to reach into the past and to draw upon that genetically encoded knowledge, information that's in them. Because while they are in their school, while they're in their slave job, their true identity is being covered up. And like we said, if you come home after 8 hours work, maybe you're too tired and those artists aren't going to be artists anymore. So this is a very important initiative, and it's really this young life giver. It's Courtney Cat Montour. I don't know if that's her real full name. Maybe that's her Facebook name, but that's again our old friend Timmy Montour's daughter. So if we can help in any way, this is what our intent is, to assist her and to assist other young aspiring artists, to give them access. So one of the things that we're going to do is we got an initiative coming up at the Mexican consulate sometime within the next month and a half, something like this. Dates and times are yet to be set. And there we're gonna give like the public announcement of the Two-Row Wampum Indigenous Art Initiative for non-native people to be able to support. So we'll do it there and maybe have a few artworks on display, stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, so there's that. Two-Row Wampum Indigenous Art Initiative for non-native people to support Indigenous artists in the right way. Yeah. Okay. That's that. We could stop sharing that. I don't know if anybody has anything, if you want to say about you can stop sharing that. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything about that, or wants to adjust it. If not, we're gonna move on. You see somebody's hand up. Okay, I don't know who's that?
Alain.
Okay, Alain.
Hi, group. Just few sentence. I remember water has a voice. It gives those who listen. There is a discomfort while the river calls for help. She speaks softly, but her tone is deeply unsettling. They want to extract, to divert, to pollute. It's like Mother Earth is bleeding. To protect the river is also to protect peace. To protect Mother Earth is to protect the children yet to come.
That sounds like in the vein of what we're talking about right now. Sounds like you should be a painter and you should have a nice, big, beautiful painting of maybe a beaver in its environment doing what it does. I could see a beaver swimming through the water, maybe with a little branch in its mouth. Maybe just like a silhouette on the water, or like light of the water flickering. And that being the text to go along with that painting. Because in the non-native world, as you know, there's paintings. And it's not too often that you see paintings with explanations, with meaning behind it. Usually paintings are left to the observer to interpret the way that they want. Maybe the artist might say sometimes, oh, this is what I had in mind, whatever. But without the explanation there along with the painting to say, this is what it is, this is why I created it, then it's left to interpretation. So that text, a very beautiful text to describing the existence, the purpose of beavers, of what they mean to us. This is, of course, beavers are so revered for the medicines that they bring, the poolings of water, the lives that come there, the civilization that forms. Beavers change and affect human evolution. They are a direct cause of us evolving out of war into a peaceful mindset. So that's like I said, it's a very beautiful text about that, and it'd be good if you had a painting. I don't know if you're an artist, But if not, maybe there's somebody through this process of us just creating and combining ourselves, our energy, in a two-row wampum indigenous art initiative. Maybe you don't have to be a painter. Maybe you could just have these words in your mind that goes along with the person who might be willing to paint that. And the two of yous can be together, an artistic team. It's like coming together in a council of art. It's like a council, a regular council, but this is a council for art. So in a regular council, somebody comes and says this, somebody else comes and says that, and ooh, the two of them together refines the thing to the most acceptable level. And so here we might find that through different disciplines of art, unless you're a painter, if you are just the poet, then the poet can be matched up with the painter or even with the videographer. And together our little excursion into artistry could maybe take us further than what we imagine. Are you a painter? Do you paint at all, Ellen? Or
Arts, not this kind of arts, but yes, some I have artist profile in other way than paint.
So anyways, here, like I said, that text that you wrote, maybe there's somebody out there who isn't going to steal that text, but who wants to combine their field of expertise in art, wants to combine it with that. Maybe that artist who had this vision of something, maybe it wasn't complete without those words. We'll see. Maybe you're going to hear from somebody. Maybe we're going to hear from somebody who's going to say, I'd like to paint that. And we can use Ellen's words to describe the painting. Let's see what happens. It's possibilities and the reality of now where we are from this half moon into the solstice. This is where the year is divided. So we were everything previous, it's gone now. Now we are into a path of creativity. We can design it. We got to be creative what we're going to do now. And as you know, like within even our political issues that we address, spiritual, we got to be artists in addressing these things. You can't just be that politician who just goes out there and says anything. You got to be an artist to massage the other one, get them to see this or understand that, or if you can't, then through the process to refine your position or perception of that thing, to where together collectively we get the best possible us. And that's artistry. That is what being of the original peoples of Turtle Island is. All the peoples who live in peace are living artists. We have been living art, an existence of artistry for at least 500 years here. 1500 years before the coming of the non-native. And these last 500 years has stifled our artistry. So just imagine, there's a lot of things right now that the non-native people see that, oh, they might like, you know, maybe hearing somebody, a native person, maybe singing a song. You know, maybe a person likes that. Maybe you like seeing that native person playing lacrosse. Maybe fishing or canoeing. All of those things have been altered by the last 500 years. When you're seeing young people today playing lacrosse, it may look like what you're observing is native people playing lacrosse. No, you're observing something different now. It's become something different. So through these processes of us working together, we can fix. Like if you got into an accident with your car and your fender's all crunched in and bent, you're not going to leave it like that. Well, maybe, but you won't like it. You'll want to get it fixed. So even though you crunched it in, the fender's all stiff and bent this way and that way, like the way we have been for the last 500 years, it doesn't mean that it cannot be straightened out. It can be fixed. This is the efforts that everybody is making within the two-row wampum working group, just to remind everybody that we have come a long way in our journey together. That there has been teaching shared to before, in many of yous, that many people did not have the necessary knowledge to be able to engage. But over the past couple of years and everything that is shared and learned together, that we are now engaging in proper two-row wampum relations. And that's a beautiful thing, because it means there is no commodification, there is no powering over anyone else, there is acceptance of each other's freedoms, rights, powers, all of that. It's beauty, it's existence the way it's supposed to be. So we are living artists, and now in this rest of the year, we have to be very creative in the message, how the message gets out there. Maybe in the past we could have just said, hey, this is the message, and it's blah, 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 blah. Maybe that was okay. But now, no, it's got to be, here's the message, and here's this beautiful thing, and this beautiful thing reveals this other thing until we get to the message at its core. So we got to beautify. Artists must rise, because never forget, even in the non-native world, they identify that artists are really the cutting edge of evolution in the non-native society, because it's artists that confront the things, either the corruptions that are there, and push the discussion or the topic or the subject to the point of affecting that to change. It's artists that have done this throughout time. We're living artists that got to start creating the perfect picture once again. We got to fix this picture and return it back to its pristine conditions, exactly like what Serge has identified in the document that he's presented. Together, I think we're finding ourselves moving in a symbiosis that we really don't even have to think about now. In the past, maybe you had to think about it. Maybe you even didn't know what to do. But now, through people having access to the two-row wampum and the knowledge of it, you just get the ideas. And it comes to you, and this is what I want to do. And that's where you are finding your identity. That's where you are becoming the true you. The true you is being expressed. Okay, anything else that we had to discuss tonight? Oh, okay. One other thing. From the World Social Forum, some of you know that there was an issue that came up of that here in Montreal, that on August 6th, there's a commemoration of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that as Montreal is a sister city to Hiroshima, or Nagasaki, I forget which one. That every year they have dignitaries come from Japan to come, and they do a commemoration at the Botanical Gardens by near the Olympic Stadium. Anyways, on that day, what we've concluded in the World Social Forum is what different people that we were talking to is that the Longhouse is going to do make a presentation to them. Right now, we're working on trying to get a theater. I don't want to say which one right now to like sabotage our chances. But anyways, we're gonna have the theater on that day. We met some people at Social Forum who are dancers, performers, artists, everybody. We're gonna have a meeting next Friday here, hosting on the Longhouse grounds, barbecue, all that kind of stuff, to bring our minds together, where we're gonna explain what the action is that we're gonna take, what we're gonna do. It's basically a play that is gonna have a lot of artistry in it, and that's gonna show or depict what takes place when an atom is split, when they break the nucleus of a cell. For things such as like in CERN, where everybody thinks, oh, CERN is a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. When you're tearing yourself apart at your own foundations, there's no way in hell that you can ever interpret that as to being a good thing. It is a terrible thing. So next Friday, we're hosting everybody here from the, well, not everybody, but people from the Social Forum, different groups, artists, performers, musicians. We're gonna try to have as big as a production that we could possibly have. We're shooting for the stars, and if we only make it from here to that tree outside, well, then we'll be happy with that. So if anybody, any of our friends, allies, want to assist us, participate in this action, you're more than welcome. Just contact us and blah 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 blah. There you go. Okay, is there anything else? If I keep saying that, I'll probably keep coming up with something. Okay, the solstice. This for there's a 2-day solstice this year, Friday and Saturday. Now, it's not just me saying that, of course. Science is identifying this year. Today, I think it was Angel that shared can we go to that thing? Maybe just share it, just to show it. What Angel shared this morning about the solstice. It's about the solstice. I won't say anything more until she gets the document there. I'm gonna get some water.
Man, I seriously don't know how to use a Mac. Well, I'm trying to go up, but I'm not. Like here.
I have it on there.
Well, it's not there. It's here.
Oh, well, there you gotta put it in there. Go like that.
See, it doesn't work for me.
2 fingers you gotta use. I should.
Oh, well. If you say it, that's better.
It's a Mac. Very implemental. Okay, so what is that?
Hang on, hang on.
Is that being shared right now?
Yeah,
Is that the thing we're supposed to read?
that's what you asked.
I don't know if you're scrolling. I see you scrolling down.
Well, so you can read.
Hey, from here, you gotta tell me. You know I
Quote.
can't.
The quote I copied and pasted is lower than that.
You let
First
him.
it talks about when the solstice is, and then it talks about the pattern and a bit a bit lower. It was far.
Didn't you write
Yes,
it?
the longest day of the year. I quoted this. That's the copy and paste I did from this part.
Okay, I'll read it off. The sun is at its highest in the sky on the summer solstice. Essentially, it takes the longest path possible across the sky for whatever latitude you live at, and thus it is the longest day of the year. Something a little unusual is happening in 2025, though, at least for part of Canada. Here, we will see the sun at its highest in our sky during the day on June 20th. However, the exact moment when Earth's axis lines up with the sun's axis and the sun is at its absolute highest point in the sky relative to the entire planet will occur when it is nighttime here. So what happened then? Well, for some it means you don't have just one longest day. Instead, you have two. The entire country will experience the longest day of the year on Friday the 20th. However, if you live anywhere from northern and eastern Ontario to the Atlantic coast, Saturday the 21st will be the exact same length as the 20th down to the 2nd. This includes Timmins, North Bay, Ottawa. Okay, well, that's us, because it says also all of Quebec. Okay, so anyways, you can stop sharing that. I don't think it's necessary for us to go any further, except to identify that this is a different summer solstice than ever before. It's not like any other one. Now, for myself, when I heard of this trajectory, this is what I said, but of course, I don't know how to do this research. So if there's anybody who can do this research, what we need to do is overlap this map that shows where it'll have a 2-day longest day, overlap it with the trajectory of last summer's total solar eclipse. I would bet you anything that trajectory is the borderline that separates that creates these two longest days. From just what I'm hearing, just what it said there, anywhere from Ontario, eastern Ontario to the coast, and it says all of Quebec. So it seems like just hearing that the summer solstice, last year's summer solstice, is the design of this 2-day. No, not last year's summer solstice, last year's total solar eclipse is the impetus to the design of the 2-day, the two longest days this year. I know this doesn't happen every year, but it happens every so often. I don't know how long, but research like that is important. Once we get general information like this and we get it into the collective consciousness, then somebody should come along. It's not me. Somebody else who's got the time or the knowledge in that field should come along and do that research and align these things, that what we're talking about right now, just so that we can compare, look at what we think we're reading, and just to compare it with what's actually unfolding right now. It's very interesting, of course. Now, to you tomorrow, I mean Friday, you're going to be at work anyways, right? All day long, you're going to be in your 8-hour jail cell. You're not going to care. It's not going to make any difference to you. It's just going to be just like any other Friday to you. And for those of you on Saturday, you're going to be going out shopping anyways. And it's going to be just like any other Saturday to you. But for people who are interested in pursuing the knowledge of aligning themselves with the cyclical motions of Mother Earth, and this is where one finds an articulation of where maybe you just got generalities, but this is where articulation comes in, where you can see the fine detail. It's like looking at a painting from a long ways away and saying, hey, that's nice, and then going right up close and seeing, wow, look at that line. That's how this line on its own doesn't mean anything, kind of looks funny, but in this big painting, wow. And your alignment with this cyclical motion of Mother Earth, of Grandma Moon, eldest brother to sun, the sacred three. And this is where you will find yourself. And basically, this is show you the example. You've been with us, all of you know about the turtle. That aligning oneself within the sacred tree, turtle, wolf, and bear, eldest brother to sun, Grandma Moon, Mother Earth. This is where you manifest, right in the center of these three, putting their power and energy, each of them, you come right out of the dream, right out of the center of the dream. So, and of course, it depends on the individual. Me just saying this is what's happening, and you will go ahead and align with it. It isn't going to mean anything. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Doesn't mean you're going to align with it. It's got to be your drive. It's got to be your fire that's burning to want to have that desire to learn, to align with the cyclical motions of Mother Earth, the realities of Mother Earth. Maybe you're too busy. Like I said, you're going to be at work, or you're going to be going shopping, or you're going to be doing any of the other distractions, like maybe even going to war. Just think of all the people who are at war right now. They don't give a good goddamn that they're in a time of transition and evolution, and all they are doing is remaining, having their head stuck up their rear end in waging war. This is where a person does not evolve, where they miss the bus. So the bus is coming, get ready. It's here. And we're already in the cycle. It's a 5-day cycle. But the peak of it is going to be Friday into Saturday, Friday night into Saturday, join the night. That's the longest day of the year. Imagine we're celebrating the day, the power of the day, and its ultimate power or ultimate time is going to be in the night. Our night. Oh, excuse me. This is where it's alchemy, where you know how to take just the right amount of pinch of pepper and right amount of salt. If you didn't put enough or too much, one sprinkle, too little or too much, screws it all up. We're alchemying together. And what we're alchemying is love. The big love, peace, happiness for our children, for our faces yet beneath the earth. And don't worry, if you yourself don't have children, that does not mean anything in the big picture. You, we, together, we have faces yet beneath the earth. And together we make them rise. Even if you never have a child, never had a in your life, guy or girl, doesn't matter. So, okay, again, I'll ask anything else now. What else we got now?
Alain raised his hand.
Okay, Ellen.
Ok, je vais le faire en français. Si quelqu'un veut me traduire, ça va être plus facile.
I'll do it in French if someone can translate. It'll be easier for me.
Ok. Pour Terre-Mer, je pense que c'est très grave ce que Québec veut faire avec le projet de loi 97.
For Mother Earth, I think it's really atrocious what they want to do with Bill 97.
La gravité, quand même, je pense que ça menace aussi beaucoup l'autonomie des Inuits.
It's threatening the Innu autonomy.
Parce qu'on parle ici de Québec qui veut dans son système colonial exploiter la foresterie, les mines, etc., mais sans entendre ceux qui veulent pas entendre, autrement dit.
It talks about like colonial Quebec that want to exploit and like mine and the forest too, without having to consult or talk to the natives.
On sait ce que les mines occasionnent comme atrocité sur la terre-mère.
We know what the mines cause, as atrocities on our Mother Earth.
Les capacités sont limitées pour défendre seul là, ces choses-là ou en matière d'éducation aussi.
My capacity are limited to defend and educate people regarding this, as like being alone with doing it.
Je veux apporter ça au groupe. Peut-être que ça va amener de l'eau au moulin ou à la rivière. On verra.
I want to bring this to this group because it could bring ideas.
Well,
And maybe action too, because it's so it's not the little things. It's big issue. We see on the Nitassinan for that.
well, this is where Serge's foresight comes into the picture. Because the document that Serge presented, this addresses everything that you just said, like you can't do it on your own, you need help. Native people have been doing it on our own for 500 years without a help from any non-native people. And as you point out, well, it's getting harder because the non-native people have discovered a way to increase their pressure, their colonial pressure, to bypass their own law, their own rule of order. Well, Serge is addressing that. And when we consider that we have the my court case at our fingertips in which to facilitate this, that it's like as if gifts are just falling out of the sky for us that address what you just said. That document that Serge and the people he's working with have created. This is, if you could imagine, for 500 years, the native people have been doing it, by ourselves. Just imagine a person like for 500 years hopping on one leg. But now, Serge comes along and says, hey, it's dumb to hop on one leg. We got two legs, we should just walk. Well, you know what? That means the other leg has to engage. The other leg must do what it has to keep the body going. So we have a very big opportunity at our hands without anybody ever even recognizing what we have been doing in all these in all this communication, in establishing a two-row wampum working group. Every non-native person, every person who's been involved in this process, you may not see them here all the time, they even get tired of it. But a person who is committed and has their fire burning and knows what they got to do in this world, they're never going to get tired. They're never going to need a lot of people there. I don't care. I don't need a lot of people. I do it by myself. But hey, Serge comes along and says, hey, on our side, we have this responsibility to do something too. Okay, then. So right now we're in the stage of really, it's put your money where your mouth is. This is what Serge is doing. He's putting his money where his mouth is. So hopefully soon, instead of us just hopping for 500 years, now we're going to be able to be walking together, accomplishing. So we could see this going to like we said, in the Supreme Court, that position going there, this would help you. It would help what you identified about the Innu, because he's pushing to Wampum everything that the province of Quebec is doing with the ass-kissing sellouts within the genocidal elected band systems, that, it's undermining everything. But on the highest levels of pushing to Wampum and in the Supreme Court, that cancels out everything that the Quebec is doing with exploiting Innu. What they call it, Plan Nord. Everybody, ever since they said Plan Nord, which is what, like over 10 years ago now, I think. Ever since they said that, all the original peoples who are within that supposed territory that's identified have all felt alone. They've all felt threatened. Ever since the French said Plan Nord. What the hell do you think that is? The French pirates are saying, we're coming into your house. Get ready, you Innu. Get ready, you Inuit. Get ready, everybody else, whoever else. We're coming into your house and we're stealing everything from you. That's Plan Nord. This is what the French people, the non-native people, are just too selfish and too self-centered to be understanding the impacts of their actions, because they're selfish and greedy people. Selfish and greedy people just don't give a damn about if they got to kill a few natives along the way, like those two young brothers that were just killed in Inuit territory when over the winter time, twins, while one was killed. They had to kill him in order to shut the rest of the community up. Shut up. Get in order. This is what Serge's document addresses. It addresses the murderers within the police, within the politicians, within every level, so that you, the native, aren't alone on the ground. That where we got to be standing and defending, we're not going to be alone there. To Wampum means there's supposed to be another side there. So anyways, all of these things are what you identified are addressed. They will be addressed, and you may not see any kind of any kind of advancement in this in your mind. But just think, have you ever seen or heard of a document such as this ever before? No, you haven't, because it hasn't been done. So just imagine if the people were eliminated who wrote it. It doesn't matter. Their ideal has been encapsulated in this position. Once you have that ideal encapsulated in a position, then it's there within the collective psyche. It is a thought there officially in the mind. And even if the person who initiated is dead and gone from this earth, it doesn't matter. That energy is floating around within that neural network. And eventually, somebody will activate that. It'll be somebody like you or somebody like me, but not somebody like the people who sure as hell don't do a goddamn thing about nothing. Wampum working group takes action. People may not like or understand the pace as what the action must be taken. They'll just look and say, oh, you're just talking. You're not doing anything. Oh, yeah, look at that talk. Look where it's getting. It's gotten people in a non-native world to be able to see the whatever the corruptions and to be able to come forward and to stand within their own voice and power and to take position against those corruptions. Wow. That is wow. That is an accomplishment that no one else has ever done. It's just a reality. Okay, anything else, anybody? If not, we're going to close up for tonight. Okay. So, as you know, like always now, we're closing with a song on everything. Sometimes you're going to hear the same song over and over because I don't have a song in my mind. Like what I'm going to sing, I'll just, whatever's going to come out. And so sometimes it might be the same song over. And if it is, I'm not making an excuse right now, but. And my drum is dead. As you hear it, it's a dud. Today was more humdidity, yeah? Oh, we had a really good time in the Spartan race. We didn't report on that. Nothing really to report. It's not business, but just to say that we had a really good time. We were really pushed, maybe not to our maximum. I mean, we done the little sissy trail, the smallest one, 5K. There was some 20K, and I think there was one even like you had to do it over a 3-day long period, 50K. So we just kind of dumped our big toe in the water. And next year we'll see what we can do there. I know that next year we'll have a bigger team. We'll be more engaged and we'll be more whatever. I don't know what to sing. I'm drawing a blank. Okay then. Ah wee oh hey, ah wee oh way oh way oh, ah wee oh hey yeah way oh ah wee oh hey yeah ah wee oh hey ah wee oh way oh. Listen,